Over IRS notice CP12. This is a notice that the IRS made some changes to your tax return due to some miscalculations. So technically it's a math error notice. And in this case, this example we're using from the IRS website is heavily redacted. We will go over and try to fill in some of the gaps here as we go through this notice. So it's 3 pages. We'll walk through as much as we can, and we'll talk about what might be behind some of these redactions. So let's go ahead and start in the upper right hand corner. You see the notice number. For some reason the tax year is redacted, but the notice date is February 9th, 2011 in this notice. So I always encourage people to pay particular attention to the notice date, primarily because if the IRS has requested that you do something, there's usually a timeline associated with that notice date. It might be 30 days, it might be 45 days, but usually a notice will contain some sort of action required within a certain period of time. If you don't take that action, the IRS is going to assume that you agree with everything that was stated in the notice, and then they're just going to proceed with whatever was indicated in the notice. So let's take a quick look to see if there's any reference to the notice date. I don't see anything off the top of my head. Oh, here we go. If you contact the IRS within 60 days of the date of this notice, then we will make the change, or we will reverse the change that we made to your account. So in other words, if you feel like there's an adjustment that they did, they'll reverse it, and then they'll take a closer look at it to see, exactly what was happening. They may send you an additional notice saying, hey, we need additional documentation if for some reason like they disallowed a tax credit. So pay particular attention to the notice date. You'll see the social security number, a phone number that you can contact the IRS, and some sort of additional information here. On the left-hand side, I'm not sure why the IRS office location is redacted. This field down here is usually the taxpayer name and address. So what I always highlight as a second part of these videos is that if you are in between tax returns, like you just filed and you know that it's going to be a while before you file your next tax return, and you've moved, changed locations, you've moved your address, I would highly encourage you to notify the IRS so they can update your tax record. So your tax record does get updated every time you file your income tax return if there's a new address that you put on there. You can also call the IRS, validate your identity, and then change your address over the phone. You can also file IRS Form 8822 for individual taxpayers, or IRS Form 8822-B for business owners. So we'll put links in the show notes to resources that we've created on both of these forms, as well as any other forms we might discuss here. So basically changes to your form, I'm going to assume 1040 because there's a miscalculation that impacts employee business expenses. For some reason, they redacted all the calculations, but we can assume that there were some sort of payments that you made versus the tax that you owed, and that resulted in an overpayment. So the rest of this notice should probably break down into a little bit more detail on how that tax liability changed. So again, if you review the notice and you agree, you don't need to do anything else. You'll receive a refund for whatever the dollar amount was in usually 4 to 6 weeks. Tax refunds are always subject to the offset program, the Treasury offset program. So basically, if you owe child support or unemployment tax, or if you're behind on Medicare payments, there's a student loan debt. There's a variety of debts that are recognized at the state or federal level that your tax return can be garnished to um, repay. I just received an email this week from someone who is working through the injured spouse allocation, which is a tax form that allows one spouse to tell the IRS that they should not have taken their side of the refund on a joint return to pay off their spouse's prior tax. Actually, it was a child support payment. So she wanted to file IRS Form 8379, basically to carve out her part of the tax refund that she should have been allocated. So we'll put links in the show notes to some of those items as well. Again, at the bottom, there's a change of contact information. You can use this slip. You would use this slip if you include any correspondence back to the IRS, particularly if you disagree with the notice. So if you don't agree with the changes, again, you can call the IRS. You can contact them via mail. If you do so by mail, you have up to 60 days. So again, this kind of walks through what happens. Like they'll reverse the change if you are not able to provide that additional information that justifies the reversal. Then the IRS will forward your case to be audited. Audits have formal appeal rights, so you can appeal through the IRS Independent Office of Appeals. You can go through tax court. The appeal process can actually go all the way up to the Supreme Court as needed. So this kind of walks through the timeline of what that looks like. And again, if the IRS does not hear from you, they just assume that you agree with the information. So changes to your tax return. Basically, it said that they did not allow certain information claimed as tax credits because you did not complete or attach IRS Form 3800, which is the general business credit, or some of its supporting documentation. You did not attach that to your tax return. So basically, you were expecting a refund. I assume that behind these redactions, the IRS has actually reduced the refund because they disallowed a certain tax credit. I think it said, what was it? Oh, miscalculation on employee business expenses. So, and then on page 3, basically some more details that we can't really see. And then there's resources for additional information. So let's take a look at what the IRS site has to say. Sometimes they do have additional information. There are some frequently asked questions like, why did I receive this notice? In this case, the IRS corrected one or more mistakes on your tax return, and you have an overpayment when you thought you owed money, or the overpayment is different from the one that you were expecting. So again, overpayment means that you're receiving a refund. In this case, they changed your refund, so that's why you received the notice. And then you do have to read your notice carefully. I do get a lot of questions and comments about what someone's notice says. Even though that they do have a standard template, each notice is tailored for a particular taxpayer. As you saw in this notice through the redactions, a lot of information came straight from the taxpayer's tax returns. So you do need to pay close attention to what your notice says. That's going to be your best source of information on why the IRS did what they did. So I think that's all we have. We pretty much covered everything in this notice, in this video. So we'll put links in the show notes to the articles and videos we've created that might be related to this topic. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.